Yay! We're live. It's Training Tuesday. We're Magnet Marketers and excited to have you with us today as we dive in to talking about creative, craveable content that converts. And we have the perfect panel to do so today. If we've not met before, hello. My name is Jessika Phillips with Now Marketing Group in the relationship marketing system, helping people love more, give more, and be more in their business. And my awesome co-host, he's Mike Gingerich. He's the president of Digital Hill, the co-founder of the popular apps Waftio, Tabsite, published author extraordinaire, and awesome guy all around. How's it going, Mike?
Hey, doing well and excited. I don't think I've been a part of one yet where we've brought in two guests, so this is double the fun.
Oh, it's like the Brady Bunch window going on right here. So who do we have with us? I'll let you introduce our special guest today, and I'm going to get this shared out.
Yes. So we have with us, first off, Brian Wallace. Brian, give me a thumbs up. You can hear me? Right, there he is. Got it. Brian is founder of Now Sourcing, an industry-leading infographic design agency. They're based in Louisville. Brian is in Cincinnati, Ohio. They work with companies that range from startups to Fortune 500s. Brian also runs in the hashtag LinkedIn Local events, hosts the Next Action podcast, and sits on the Google Small Business Advisory Council. So welcome, Brian. Glad to have you here.
Thanks, Mike. Pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me on.
All right, you bet. And Troy Sandidge is Vice President of Next Gen Dynamics, creative marketing agency in Chicago, Illinois. He's a electrical engineer turned digital marketer. How about that? For some pivots along the way. He's worked with and partnered with Fortune 100 companies, small international businesses, nonprofits, elected officials, and more to help them grow brand identity, reach, and profitability through social media, video, and marketing strategies with an emphasis on storytelling. That's why he's going to add value here. Troy is an avid Twitter power user, vlogging enthusiast, and confesses to being a workaholic at times. He believes that everyone has a unique story to tell. And so we are looking forward to hearing some stories today. Troy, welcome.
Pleasure. Oh, this is awesome. Excited.
I love it. And I love that we're bringing in these guests that will also be joining us at Social Media Week Lima. So we're getting a little sneak peek of all this talent that's coming to Lima June 18th and 19th. Super excited to have you guys there. The conference info is at sociallima.com. It's sponsoring this broadcast here today. But while we're here today, we're going to be talking about creative content. And as you heard with these guys' bios, they are a wealth of information when it comes to this. So I'm excited to dive in and just hear from you both first with the first question. And I'm going to start with you, Brian. What do you feel are the new rules for content in 2019? Because there's so many shifts happening.
Gosh, it's a pretty difficult question, right? I mean,
I'm just hit it right out of the gate,
Listen, just predict all the future. So I feel like as far as the internet goes, every couple of years or sometimes even every 6 months, there's just different patterns that emerge. And I guess you could say that like the single string of content is the same, but I feel like as we go on, people are more and more distracted. There's so much competing for attention. I like to say, except when we're sleeping, but I'm sure there's plenty of people working on that. I know that actually there are a lot of people working on that. So it's pretty scary. So I feel like the best thing that we can do these days is to try to make the best quality content possible. So we've got like our heaping quality over here, but at the same time, people kind of want those heartbeat moments that are going on. So basically everybody is putting out stories. Like you saw the meme probably a few months ago where Microsoft Office, like in Excel, is going to share stories or whatever. Everybody's trying to, I think, capture both. And it's a very strange time where everybody's like, well, you just have to have like a 2-second little quick thing or 30-second quick little thing. Yet people will go home for a weekend and they'll binge watch an entire series on Netflix. So we clearly have the ability to still pay attention. So I feel like it's really just those two competing kinds of action that are happening. And I think it also has to do with a lot of times of what moments in the day these things are happening. So there's a whole bunch of things once you first wake up in the morning, as you're getting coffee, as you are commuting, as you're kind of sitting there into space waiting to get your brain started, maybe a little lunchtime break, afternoon, drive home, and then some different times at night. I feel like there's all of these moments for the short, small content, and then some of the more thought-provoking, deeper content.
I love that
Yeah.
that you shared that we do still have the attention to give, and like Netflix, prime example. And I know Brian Fanzo, which he'll be on in a couple weeks, he talked about even omnisensory experiences, that people are watching Netflix while doing something else, right? And you just shared some other examples of that. So you're right, our behavior has changed with content. So I think you're spot on with that. And speaking of attention, if you're joining in with us here, let us know where you're joining in from and what questions maybe you have for these brilliant panelists as it relates to content, or what you're seeing in your industry as well. And I want to pass it over to you, Troy, kind of same question. What shifts and pivots are you seeing related to content as it relates today?
So I think a lot of times you hear these marketers, not us obviously, because we're authentic, right? The ones that want to just come into the moment, do clickbaity. Hey, 10 tips to kill it in social, kill it in content marketing. For 2019, all they did is just change the headline from 2017, 2018 to 2019. They didn't do the studies to modify for what's going on right now. And we'll catch you right away because we're calling you out on it right now. I think the pivot is just adaptability. But at the same time, that doesn't mean we lose focus on what got us to what we are today. So obviously creating content and being consistent with the content that you create, no matter what platform, no matter what type of medium it is, those are always true no matter what. So that's my big thing. But then in comparison with 2019, yes, video has gone up, podcast has gone up. You've seen Spotify has come in to modify that and kind of growth that whole industry. And everyone's like, you gotta do a podcast. I mean, LinkedIn is now, YouTube of 2008 now. You got to be on LinkedIn. It's not just a resume platform. You got to crank out videos and do all these different things and get all kind of crazy. And through all the noise and the chaos, you have the big brands who, just because of their name, no matter what content they crank out, people are going to watch it. They're going to read it. They're going to see it. But you got these smaller companies. You got the mid-level companies who are kind of fluctuating. Hey, everyone told me Vine was a thing. Now Vine is gone. What do I do now? Oh, I'm gone Twitter. Twitter chats are losing focus. Facebook groups are going up. What do I do? And you get all this kind of chaos, and you come to us four awesome experts. You're like, tell me, what am I going to do? Help me out. And it's like, slow down, stick to your roots, stick to your fundamentals, and that'll be fine. So yes, you need to have consistency, and you have to create high quality content. Everyone's gonna call you out if it's not good content. But here's my trick and suggestion that we at NextGen do, and you guys all do the same thing. Diversify. So if you know your bread and butter is Twitter, but you know that there's a lot of blogs going on Instagram, LinkedIn, it doesn't hurt to spend 10% of your time elsewhere just to see if you get a good ROI coming back. It doesn't hurt at all. Also, if you're big in video and you have a hard time making blogs and whatnot, take the script from the video and convert it to on a blog. Guess what? You just do that just like that. And then, hey, you can just take the visual element out of it and make it to a podcast just like that. You're taking the same content and appealing to a broader audience that may find it valuable. Sometimes it's not about just the content, but how you repackage it. So just modify your time and you'll be pretty much good no matter what year it is. But as long as you be consistent and create high quality content, no matter what changes throughout these years, no matter what platforms come and go, you'll be fine.
And I love how you said looking at the analytics, like, see what's working. If you want to know what's going to convert, you have to see what is converting now. And like you said, repurposing that. And I love changing video to blog, right? Because one, it's conversational in tone. And so it's going to feel more genuine, and you're meeting the readers or viewers where they're at with the platform that they, can adapt to. Mike, what'd you take away from that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think I liked what I heard there about the consistency factor, and just the need to, because again, if it's randomized, I mean, it's just not going to stick. So I think that was definitely one, and just about how you need to adapt. I mean, because we can talk about, yes, I mean, Facebook's still a relevant platform. But if you're doing the same things you were doing on Facebook 2 years ago, you're not going to be relevant. And so you have to adapt what you do on the platform.
Yeah. And I think that's where clients get stuck sometimes, at least when we're talking with them, because they are seeing this, okay, now it's not just enough to be on Facebook and have a Facebook business page. Now we got to do Facebook, stories and live video, and now Facebook groups potentially. And then, okay, now Facebook and Instagram, the audience is kind of going on to Instagram. There's stories there and then posts there. Like, Brian, when a client comes to you, kind of what's your process of saying, okay, slow down, let's look at this, and then suggestions on how they begin with their content.
So when every client becomes a social media expert, I roll, table flip, insert, whatever. So when everybody starts telling me that I have to like do Facebook stories and do this and do that, to Troy's point, I mean, where's the analytics? Where's the ROI of that? I like to tell people, I'm probably like your most boring social media grumpy guy because I've been doing this. Now sourcing is about 13 years old. We were doing social professionally in 2006, back when if you were a brand, you didn't even have Facebook pages because they didn't even exist. So like, I know a couple things about this, guys. I don't really like even entering a social network or options and different things going on in a social network until I see some uptick that is worth it. So like I said, I'm pretty boring with this. I don't put out a lot of stories because I don't really see a lot of value in it. I try it and it's like, okay, people see it and they see things that are happening, but you know, I can't just constantly entertain everybody and do incredible things. So like this morning we got like a package from LinkedIn and they gave me all this recording gear stuff. So I took some pictures of it. I put it on every network and basically a lot of people liked it. I think people were more jealous of it than liked it or whatever. And people were getting mad at it. And then, yeah, right. And then LinkedIn also got involved in the conversation. We can, I don't think it's
but to your point, I think though, sorry, that you may not be doing stories. And I think we talked about this actually before we went live but you're using the social to build relationships because I know for a fact, this is how I got more acquainted with you in the first place is that you've seen an event that was happening and the friends were involved and you told everyone, hey, I'm not going to be at this event, but you guys should go. And these people showed up because of your recommendation. And that was because, and since then, since we've made that connection, you've stayed in touch with me and others and just have used the platform to connect and thoughtfully connect with others to build those relationships that then when something does come around that's share worthy for you, people do take notice. Something I've noticed about you.
Right. So I'm not being contrarian, but I'm definitely against the grain. So if you look at me against 1,000 other social people, while everybody else is sending like all these stories and stuff, I'm doubling down on the amount of time for that kind of content to put more permanent content. So to your point, Jessika, about, hey, everybody, I'm not going to be at event X, but here's 20 people that you should go meet. And then a bunch of other people are contacting me like, hey, when are you going to be there? It's like, I just said I'm not going to be there. But also, I feel like I've found I usually try to figure out what content works in whatever system I'm in to algorithmically score. So if I know that whatever I'm going to put out there in Facebook's going to live out there for a week, I can just focus on that kind of stuff. So I love it when, like I said, all the clients become social media practitioners and they start looking at the wrong stuff, right? So, okay, so you got Facebook likes. What about business? What about, did you get any meetings? Did you get leads? Did you get sales? Did you get repeat deals? Did you get an average ticket of something? Did you look at a delta of how much traffic you had between X and Y? I just don't understand why everybody, and I'm sure we can all relate to this, right? If you're listening or on this broadcast, that all of these people are trying to do our jobs. And that's what we're supposed to do. We're the ones that are the practitioners. We're the ones that are spending the time and really testing everything. Social is alchemy, right? You have to test things before you start trying to sell that, hopefully, right? Like the last thing we need is everybody just selling all these kinds of services. So over the years, I've found that it's so much better to just go all the way in and niche down on something as opposed to trying to be everything to everyone. I feel like I see a lot of folks that just reinvent themselves every 6 months to 2 years. So this year I'm going to be a chatbot expert, and then I'm going to be a live video person, then I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. So it's like when people try to figure out in their mind how to even kind of typecast you, we shouldn't just put labels on people, but our brains have to. We're too overloaded with content and everything else. So what are you known for? So if I get to be like the known guy who's not going to do all the stories or not or whatever, like in my mind, it doesn't matter what the communication platform is. It's that you are memorable and what it is you're memorable for. So I would say people know me for two things. One is being helpful, and two is what I specifically do for a living. And then if you follow all sorts of other things, we can talk about that. But that's what I try to constantly prime people with.
Wonderful. Got it.
That's smart. And I actually was having that conversation with a group of people this morning in my coaching group. And to your point with, clients, I think they're searching, right? There's so many stories out there and they aren't sure where to go to. They aren't sure who to listen to, from the media to individuals that are doing social. There's so many different opinions out there. So that's what, to your point of going back to the analytics, and Troy mentioned it too, of seeing what is working and also keeping a focus on what your goal is in the first place, right? So what are you trying to accomplish? Then what are you going to measure to see how your track record is progressing or not progressing to that thing, and almost reverse engineer it, right? So it's like, okay, here's where we need to be. Here's who we are and what we want to be known for, and niche ourselves down to be known for how we make people feel, what it is that we do, and then go on all in on a platform. I'm hearing some consistencies on what you and Troy are both saying. Troy, was there anything you would add to what he just said?
I mean, it sounds the same, but we're obviously getting to the nitty gritty of the whole thing. So the clients come and I'm like, hey, I want 1,000 likes. Hey, I want 5,000 followers by this time next month. Well, unless you buy them, that's not going to happen. And what's the point of being in a room of, let's say you're in an auditorium of 100,000 people and you're talking, but no one's listening to you, versus just having 2 people who are listening to you, and guess what? They want to give you $2 billion to do whatever your product or your service is. I think I would value the 2 over 100,000 people in the auditorium. Yeah. So I think sometimes it's kind of reprogramming what clients think they want to transcribe it to what they really want and how it makes sense. And that's the thing that I think a lot of social media people, whether it's from the content marketing side, payment side, we're all trying to figure this out. I always say social media is the highway. Everyone's on the highway, but if you're not making attention to yourself, no one's going to care who you are. Everyone's trying to get to point A to point B. And if you're not causing attention, no one's going to care. But it's also educating people on what the main purpose of social media is. If you're trying to get a lot of leads, to me, paid media would be the way to go, because you really can track down to the nitty gritty, down to the penny for it, versus social. Social to me is more building brand awareness. Is there some percentage of that for CTA? Yes. But it does require money to really push the envelope. I say of it like a restaurant. So you might have a 4-star restaurant, your mom's recipes that makes the best chicken, that fried chicken on this side of Midwest Indiana, for just the sake of argument. But yet no one knows about it. So you get a billboards, you get all these things to get people, bring attention to it, and guess what? They're all showing, because you're talking about this the best chicken in Midwest Indiana. So you're coming down there, everyone shows up. But guess what? If you don't make the food, no one's eating it and enjoying it, they're gonna leave. And if the food is made and it's really good, they're going to come back on their own accord. The billboards won't be necessary. So paid media is to bring people in. Organic content, which is being consistent, high quality content on whatever platform it is consistently, keeps them coming in for more, because they're just loving it. They're loving it. They're loving it. So organic isn't dead. Organic's purpose is to keep people to be nurtured, to keep them engaged with you, be advocates for you, and everything like that. So I think sometimes when people want, I need sales, I need leads, well, let's talk about money. Let's talk about budget and deflect to paid media. If you want to get brand awareness or increase your SEO in a modular amount, then organic's your way to go. But let's treat content the way it is. Content is the bloodline of any company, whether you like it or not. And if you're only putting in a little bit of time and effort into it, you're just going to get that same amount of results. People we see it all the time. We laugh about it in our Facebook groups and whatnot. We'll see posts and say, oh, social media manager, $15,000. Like, what? What are you going to do? I mean, come on now. They don't want to pay. They don't want to really invest in a legit content marketing person, a legit paid media person. I think one person can handle 10 different type of positions. It's ridiculous. Yeah. That's why a lot of content is suffering, because you need a team to really solidify. That doesn't mean you can have one person who's a jack of all trades who come in strategy. But come on, brands, let's come together and really talk about the nitty-gritty.
I think they're used to like the free social media facade, right? Before you just, build it and whatever, and they think people will come. But you're right, it does not come from one person. And you may have like one account manager or something, like if you're working with an agency, but there's typically a team behind them that's like, some's working on the creative, some's working on the strategy, some's working on, video and what have you. And if you really want great content, it does come down to investment of time, money, resources to make it stand out. I mean, there's no short way around that, and creativity. Now there's different kinds of mediums for content, and maybe we could even talk through some great things that you've seen brands do, or your own clients, or you guys have done too, with different mediums of content. So to put some just put some ideas out there for brands that are struggling with this, and to show that, okay, it may require a team and or a paid media strategy, especially as you get going and get started with it. What kinds of content are you really seeing an uptick in now? Like, of course, video. Like, who does video really, really work for?
Is that for me or for Brian?
Either one of you guys. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll go then. I definitely think video is for everyone, but it depends on the business. So
Yeah.
I feel video would obviously compel more for B2C. That doesn't mean that it doesn't work for B2B, but I feel like the reach has more of a pop for B2C than B2B.
Yep.
The tone is different. The flavor is different. Right now, we're in a society, where, especially digital, where it's DIY, do it yourself, or so. So that doesn't mean, again, we're talking about high quality. That doesn't mean if you don't create any content, no one's going to know who you are. So if you don't have a budget for a full video production team, let's say you're trying to hire next gen video production, you can't afford us for that aspect. It doesn't mean you shouldn't go out and crank out some videos. Start out small. We all kind of started in a small little situation and grew our voice, grew our tone out to more. So if you're on LinkedIn and you're a small business and you're watching right now, or you're watching the replay, dude, get out and make a video. Do 30 seconds every day and talk about whatever your service of the day, your product of the day, or just about yourself, and crank that out. That has been a really big thing for small businesses that I've seen, and just the network. I feel though on the flip side of it, and I think this is a situation that us marketers have to deal with, is we see so much of it. You know, if all we're connected to are like-minded individuals like us, not, you get my point. It's just an oversaturation of video. Make it stand out. You don't have to sound like the Gary V's or the Brian Fans or the Chris Struggs. They're great. They're phenomenal. I learn a lot from all of them. But have your own voice too. So definitely, I think if you're in the consumer, you want to invest more in video, I would do that right away. B2B, I still think articles are the strongest point for B2B, especially if you're featured on different mediums and platforms. It just gives you a lot more credibility, a lot more case studies. That just helps. That's not going to go away. You're not going to be able to do one quick viral video thing that's going to replace all the fundamentals that you need to do to establish yourself in upcoming markets. Aside from that, I feel like the trend is microblogging. I know it's been around, but I feel like now the attention span of people is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. I think, I don't know, the goldfish is beating us, and we're slightly beating the goldfish. I don't know. It depends on the day, right? If there's Game of Thrones going on, then the goldfish wins. So, of course, 100%. But you still need to do microblog. I think having shorter bursts to get people engaged and continue reading is kind of like the Netflix effect. Hey, I'm going to binge all your articles because it seems short to the point. That's why I like the book of Mice and Men and not The Grapes of Wrath, because it's much smaller. I can go through all the chapters much quickly and knock it out. Grapes of Wrath, I know I won't be able to get to it. But you give me a shorter burst and couple that with a video, couple that with a small audio piece, it would be such substantial to you. So it's kind of a good media for people who, I don't want to do digital. I've always been a writer. I've been a contributing writer for Forbes and all the other mediums out there. Hey, you still can kind of tag and all other digital things. To Brian's point, yeah, IG stories isn't for everyone. And do I use Facebook stories? Heck no. The only time I ever use a Facebook story is if I post my IG story and it's linked to my Facebook page. And I just say, hey, select, and it goes over there. I don't care about Facebook stories. I don't consume it that way. So if it's make content that applies to your lifestyle. If your lifestyle is long form blogging, it's not going to go away just because everyone's like, you got to do video. If that's your thing and you can't do video, so what? There's enough room for everybody, no matter what. So.
Troy, I like what you said as well. I think about coupling. I think, so you said microblogging, but you might need to do that with a little bit of video. So I think there's kind of mixing a few of those pieces together, maybe, so you might have a strength area, but you might maybe supplement that with another little piece of something.
Right.
Got it. Jessika, can I throw in a question here?
It's all you.
I am interested in hearing from Brian maybe on, maybe a little story of how an infographic tells a story. How do they work with what they do to communicate a story in that regard?
Oh, yeah. So, well, I was going to answer what we were going to say. So I already said I'm pretty contrarian and against the grain on a lot of stuff. So philosophically, I get into fights, trouble, discussion on this. I'm very anti-paid media because I don't think that you necessarily need it, depending on how good your content is and how good your organic reach is. So I've been doing organic reach and virality for a really long time. And I think that people don't understand the level of influence game that you could do regardless of content type. We could be talking, if you're a video guy, do video, great. If you're into audio and podcasts and stuff like that, awesome. If you're into the written word or short little memes or something, go on Twitter. If you're into longer ones, you could go on Medium and all those kinds of communities. If you're into document sharing, which I think probably the single biggest miss that almost every brand and person that I come across is not doing document sharing on LinkedIn these days. It's kind of insane.
Wait, say that again.
The document sharing on LinkedIn. People don't necessarily even realize you can do it yet. It's a new feature. Usually it's PDF format. And I mean, the best one that I've published on there is, and I think it's still actually going up, is over 500,000 organic views. Basically, every one that I put out there probably gets 5, 10, 15, 20,000 views on it at least without paying a cent. And it also brings in business. Outside of, let's say, virality, word of mouth, all that kind of repeat business stuff, LinkedIn is easily our biggest sales channel. We've won Fortune 500s out of it. But to your point and question specifically, Mike, how do infographics tell a story? So a lot of people like to dismiss infographics, or if you ever see any of the clickbait of the internet, XYZ is dead, right? So blogging is dead, Facebook is dead, microblogging is dead, Twitter is dead is dead. And somebody obviously is making money off of this because they're clicking and going to the site and paying for their ads and all that stuff. So now that we're over the dead is dead, let's try to figure out how infographics actually work. It's a lot more than, hey, let me just spin up my free do-it-yourself thing, because you wouldn't build your own car, you wouldn't build your own house. Good luck with that unless you're a professional in those kinds of things. So we help people come up with better ideas than something that's going to be overly salesy or something that the media is not interested in. Bloomberg a few days ago actually just released a story talking about how there are now 6 PR people for every journalist. So you can imagine what a hell it is for any journalist, because you're just dealing with echelons of spam that you might as well just delete your email account because it's ridiculous. So you have everybody pushing press releases and worse and all sorts of nonsense, and it's just horrifying. I mean, I myself am a journalist, and I get so many stupid pitches a day. Some people will even send me like the same pitch 3, 4, 5 times a day. They don't even realize it. I'm like, hey, you realize you even did this? People are just, robots aren't taking over the world yet, right? They're a little stupid right now. So coming up with a good message that's better than that is really important. Researching it super well is also super important, but not just facts and figures. People don't make decisions based on data. Sorry, I mean, we can look at analytics, but if you've ever read Malcolm Gladwell's Blink and any number of different things, people make decisions based on emotion and intuition, because wisdom, practice,
Head, heart, hand. Yep. Exactly.
This is Jessica's wheelhouse. So we have to do that. We have to make art that isn't just there to win an art contest, but is there to make money and get the point across. Test it to make sure it actually works on the site, and then get it out into the media. I don't want to give out too much of that because that's actually what I'm going to be talking about in a month and change. But when you can play at a level of influence where you are helping the press win by not giving garbage spam from the clients, that's just a sales piece of trash, right? Then you can make incredible things kind of happen. Yeah. And I'll tell you, a few years ago, we were even able to get a basketball player a $64 million deal by reshaping the way the NBA thought about him before the trade deadline. So it's more than just like, hey, a couple of Facebook likes or whatever, and yay, people come to my website. At the end of the day, some people have big, hairy, audacious goals. People want to get funded. People want to get acquired. People want to make ridiculous, legendary moves within their space and take over. And you're not going to do that unless you really have enduring content. And yeah, I'll even concede the paid side. Paid isn't awful, but it's only going to be as good as how much money you're putting into it and what kind of creative and what kind of messaging you're putting into it.
Amen. I was getting ready to say, like, you're both right on that. Like, putting more money behind copy that stinks or content that stinks is not going to get any more views or click-throughs or anything except for wasting money. So I love like what you're talking about with creating content that's standing out and making it visual through infographics and easy to understand, but you're not just doing it to make it pretty. You have some really good points in there where you're changing thoughts and behaviors and emotions around a subject change. It's the head, heart, hand approach. And that's really what you should think about with your content is, like you said, it's not salesy. It's really, okay, what are we here to show up to do? And how should we make people feel when they're with us? And how can we use our content to tell a story in a way that is, representing that approach, and also in a way that people want to come there and experience it with us and with others that are like us. So I love what both of you guys are saying here. And one of the things that I'm seeing and that I've been trying to do with myself and others is really like even more collaboration. And I think I've heard you guys kind of touch on it a little bit, but where do you see, like, even like you're talking with media, and I agree, getting the articles into other medias, because it's one, it's credibility. Two, it's more sharing, right? And three, you're aligning forces, so to speak. So are you guys, and I can start with you, Troy, like, are you working on any collaborative pieces of content with clients, and what do you feel about that?
Oh, definitely. I think the joy of an agency, because I've been on all the spectrums, is the client base. You can switch off, and I know Brian kind of understands just the same way. You're switching hats like every few hours, and it's not you getting verbatim the same thing. The same strategy that you may approach for one client, it could be the exact same industry, may work for them and not for the other one. You're like, what is going on? That's why data isn't always factorial. You may say the data tells me this should work X, Y, Z, but then it doesn't. So I feel like collaboration is helpful. I think the rise of live stream, what Facebook Live did once they got all the kinks out and all of the nonsense, and now we're adding live to the top 5 platforms, is, hey, now I don't have to worry about doing a full creative production team. If Jessika wants to get me on for a quick thing and Mike and Brian wants to tag in, we can just do this instead of, okay, let's all go to Chicago or somewhere, set up the lights and cameras. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's gonna be very busy, but the time and effort just wears you out. And then even still, you got to make it allows for perfection. Live stream allows you, if I stumble, if I cough within reason, the audience will forgive me. So I think a lot of it, we're pushing collaboration in that medium. So a lot of clients who may come on board with us, they may not feel comfortable doing video all out. Well, let's test the waters. Let's do a live stream. Let's do some IG stories, just to see how comfortable you are. Let's see what your audience takes. One example I'll use, it wasn't my time at NextGen, and I won't say the person's name, but I was working with collaboration with a current individual in office right now, and compared to his counterpart was, I said, hey, I'm going to challenge you every day. You do a video. It doesn't matter how long. Let's try to at least keep it minimum 30 seconds every single day. I don't care. And you do it consistently at the exact same time every day. And he saw, and this was a guy who no one ever heard of. It's kind of like that long shot. You're like, who's this guy? And, it was kind of like a movie in a sense if you watch it. Like the comeback kid you never heard of. They overtake the person who's been in office for God knows how many years. And, you can just insert whatever movie you want to replicate there. And it worked. The people rallied toward the guy because they felt like, hey, I have a whole year's worth of hearing your voice, seeing something. You seem like one of the people. So we're obviously trying to find easier ways to collaborate. Live stream is one of them. Same thing with articles and blogs. Let's say I have Laura, my content marketing manager, comes in, and we have a client. They have an idea, but they're not the best writer. All right, well, you give enough content to work with. We'll modulate it accordingly, and we'll still both get credit for it and pop it out there. You look like an amazing person. People come to you. It's not about your 50-50, 40, 60-40, whatever. It's about just collaborating together to crank that content out there. It does us no good sitting on a laptop somewhere, all your ideas, if you don't crank it out there in some type of form or another way. Live streaming, more premium infographic, whatever it is, it does you no good sitting on a laptop somewhere. So we're always trying to reach out, and that might be a way, is a more subtle approach. Like, for example, people now feel more comfortable connect on Twitter and LinkedIn than to try to, here's my email, here's my business card. I don't have to solicitate you. I can just monitor you, we grow a relationship. I mean, me and Brian just connected recently. We had a fun, this man, I know he's not going to deny it, but it's like I was at a TED Talk. It was just, he was blowing my mind with his wisdom. I'm just sitting there on the end of the phone. I wish you could have saw me. I was just like, oh man, this guy knows what he's talking about. I was just enjoying the content and camaraderie. And at the end of the call, he didn't bring it up. I'm trying to, okay, let me see who I know in the Chicago area who may need Brian's services. Just off the knowledge that you give us. So content is really the door to getting this. There's no denying that at all. And I feel like the more collaboration we do with other teams and individuals, the better it will be.
Amen. I love that. And I love that you guys are already connecting. And I feel like being known as a connector of other people, one, you're starting that relationship off and there's nothing that replaces that. Speaking of relationships, I want to just say hello to some people that are here. And Mike, I know there's a question. Maybe you can read it off as well. Hey, Laura. Hey, Ross Brand. Hey, Monica. Hey, Tiffany. Can't wait to see you at Social Media Week Lima, as well as Ross Brand and Mia Voss. Hey, Michael. Hey, Crystal. Hey, Tim Lewis. How's it going? Michelana, George, Damanis. How are you guys doing? And Mike, do we have some questions in there?
Yeah, we had a great crowd out there. Brad Llewellyn as well. So thanks everybody for joining in. And I think this goes back to Troy. So Michael is asking a question. He says, what social media platform do you feel microblogs, kind of goes back to that question, would get the most traffic on? Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn? So the microblogging.
I don't know if he's doing this because he's right outside my office right now trying to text me watch the whole thing, or he just says a genuine question. But let's go through the platform that you feel microblog.
That's awesome.
You get the most traffic. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. That's a good question. I think it's a toss-up between Twitter and LinkedIn. Though Facebook obviously is the number one platform and will forever will be for the foreseeable future, there is a pivotal point in the tide of the pendulum what's going on. I feel if you do Twitter from a microblog approach and couple it as a Twitter thread, guess what? At any point in time, they may like it, they may read up, they may read back down, and then you have a link to your actual blog, whether it's on your website or any mean. That's a life hack, by the way. It'll help you get more content out for your blog. If you do your blog, guess what? You just got a whole bunch of tweets for a whole day off one blog. So there you go. On LinkedIn, though, it is getting a lot more traction. So I think the biggest thing is just the audience. So yeah. I'm going around the circle trying to figure out what my answer is. My gut's going to tell me Twitter, simply because if you try to get the most people right away, Twitter would be your biggest approach for it. Obviously, the shelf life isn't long, but it'll only take a few retweets to get the traction back, good optimized hashtags, and a good audience around you who will engage your content already to get the most traction. I'm going to say Twitter.
Got it.
Final, is that your final answer?
That's my final answer.
We'll tell you what the real. No, I'm just kidding. It all depends. Brian, what's your thoughts on that?
I'm going to go with LinkedIn hands down. Again, not to just automatically disagree. I was thinking about this also, and definitely respect Troy's opinion and everybody else's. I think the thing that people need to understand about LinkedIn is that you're going to most likely get the highest quality audience there. Also, if you have anything B2B, anything large business, if you think about it, LinkedIn is the social media playground for corporate America, because most of these other networks are either completely firewalled, blocked off, or at least discouraged, or they might be against the social media policy or whatever. Nobody's going to tell you not to be on LinkedIn, and they're not going to mind if you're on there all day. So you have a captive audience of 600 plus million people with a much higher household income, better demographic psychographics. So you probably will, on an average post on, I could think of all sorts of different clusters for Michael. So I think to answer the question properly, we'd probably have to zero in on who we're talking about. But we're just talking about a lot of folks. Just on a standard at bat, if you go to Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn, you'll probably get more interaction on LinkedIn. That being said, I've done things on Facebook where I'll just be like, hey, everybody, what do you think of X? And then I'll get like 300-400 comments. Yeah. So as much as we all downplay Facebook, sometimes that could work too, right? It's just
it just depends.
Yeah.
But to your point, though, it reminds me of a quote I heard. So I was at the Social Media Strategy Summit last week in Chicago, and there was a LinkedIn speaker, and he said, people go to Facebook and Twitter to waste time. They go to LinkedIn to spend time. And I was like, oh, I never really thought of it like that, where I do understand. However, I think it does depend on the user and their intent and who they're connected with, right? So I do agree, like you do have a valuable buyer's mindset more so, and sometimes seller's mindset, though, on LinkedIn, depending on who you're connected with. And to the points on Facebook and Twitter, with what Troy said in regard, I've had some really good traction on Twitter when I've collaborated with others, because this goes to Andy Cresadini's talk last week as well at Social Media Strategy Summit, where you're saying, you go with the publish of content with the intent of people waiting for it to go live to share it. So if you're collaborating, it already has power behind it because people are waiting for it to be shared. It's an appointment for that to be shared, and Twitter could be super powerful in that market and that mindset for micro blogging, even with sharing those pieces out when you've collaborated with others, and now it's has some traction right away versus waiting for people to come in and check it out. So to both your points, I think both of us, good arguments for all the networks. But I think, like you said, it really depends on who you are, what your intention is, and who you're connected with at the end of the day.
I have 2 questions, if you don't mind, if I can ask.
Yeah.
It makes
Of course.
My first question is this. So it's very common now on LinkedIn. It's been common on Twitter. It's not as big on Facebook, even though Facebook business pages has allowed this collaboration, I think, recently, maybe the last month. You LinkedIn, you write an article, you write a deep motivational post, whatever. And I'm not trying to make fun of it, but you get my point, guys. They tag as many as they can in the post and they share it. Do you find that or they add more people in the comments and try to indulge more engagement? Do you find that spammy, smart? What's your take on that?
You're talking to me or who?
Go for it, Jessika.
Oh. Well, if they're tagging without them being part of the article, I find it spammy. I think it's annoying. Me personally, I don't like that. Like, if you're just going to tag me randomly in something, like for that point, even on Facebook, I have it turned off where like I have to approve tags, right? Because I just don't want that showing up, because I feel like it's just kind of being a bullhorn. And like the reason why we call this magnet marketers, because we want people to come to you like a magnet versus being a bullhorn, right? So anything that kind of has bullhorn tactic, I get turned off by that. And however, if the right article is something where it's, hey, you're asking this question right now, do you find this kind of thing spammy? And you're like, you know what, who would maybe a good person to answer that? And you're doing it the right way and saying, I would love Brian's take on this and Mike's take on this, so I'm going to tag them in the comments to continue the conversation. I do like that when used in the right context. But if you're just putting something out there like, oh, I just launched this blog post on ways of creating craveable content, and I'm going to tag all of my friends because I want them to see it right away and get a notification, and then I'm going to tag some more in the comments to say, did you read it, and give me your feedback, then I would be super turned off by that.
Cool. Right. Anybody else want to answer?
I concur with Jessika in that regard, and I definitely do not like it where it's kind of meant as a you're not intended to be part of it's somebody broadcasting, and they're using that kind of notification to broadcast to you. So I mean that's a no-no if you want to try to win my attention.
I'll throw in my 2 cents too, if you don't mind. So if I am going to tag Jessika in something, if I can't, in my own mind's eye, say this is going to light up Jessica's world, forget it. And people are constantly tagging me and stuff. I love it when it's LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever, and there's like 90 tags. It's like, come on, guys. Like, I know you're just trying to get engagement, but nobody likes that guy. Eventually, I'm just going to disconnect from that person. I'd like to gravitate the point back to a second about collaboration. I think if you look hard enough, everything is connected to everything. I think too many people think too much on a linear basis and in a form of scarcity. But if you think that everything is connected and you can believe in abundance, if I'm going to share the spotlight, have collaboration opportunity with any of you that are on the panel, any of you that are listening now or later, we can all rise together. We can all bring our parts to play in that conversation. So when it comes to media, when it comes to organic, when it comes to all these things, we can all make a lot of relationships happen, a lot of financial things, but we're not just doing this for the money. We're doing this, we're all skilled people that can do lots of different things in the world. We do this because we care, and we have very good caring messages and traits about that.
Yeah. Amen to that. Yeah. Wow. 45 minutes goes fast when you're having fun and getting all excited about content. I'm like, whew, we're just getting started, but unfortunately we're winding down. But you guys have brought up some really, really, really good points. I mean, I really think this was exactly where we wanted to go with it, and then some. But I want to, now that we're winding down, kind of leave with any last finishing thoughts that you think are super important for somebody watching this video and saying, okay, if I want content that somebody's going to come back to, craveable, like something that they're going to want more of, like any last finishing words of wisdom that you can think of? And Brian, I'll start with you first. And then
Sure. So LinkedIn is not paying this as an endorsement, but get on LinkedIn, stop trying to be cool like all your friends and spend all day on Snapchat, other things that disappear all day, and go out there and make relationships and make some cash for your business. I think even if you're not an incredible video guru, anybody can get on there, stick their phone and put it out there. People don't want the perfect polished video. They want the true, authentic, original self that is you. So if you are the brand, which a lot of us are, or you're representing some kind of brand, whether you own a business, whether you work for somebody else, you could put out some video, some nice, short, native video. Go the extra mile if you can, put some closed captions for people to be easier to read so they'll stop in their tracks while they're scrolling through. Put out some document shares, put out some images, do some short and maybe long form content. And please don't just put links to other things because LinkedIn is going to punish you all day. And spend a lot of time on there, and you will see that you will get incredible opportunities. And even in real life, you have all the LinkedIn local stuff. So I would say, as a single tip, which is a much longer sort of thing, is to go all in on LinkedIn because it will pay back tremendously, personally and professionally.
Got it. Troy, anything?
What can I give out as wisdom? I'm just Troy. That's number one. So I know that sounds cliche, but we're all here. We're amazing. These people, I'm like trying to keep my composure. They're really amazing people. It's like my first time meeting them, but not like meeting them, if that makes sense. But also you get what I'm talking about. But my point was just saying right away, just me, is that we're all just still trying to figure this out. There is no secret recipe for anything. We're all writing our own work, and sometimes whatever you may be watching or listening, whatever it might be, and you think, oh, I don't agree with Brad, or I don't agree with Troy, I don't agree with Mike or Jessica. That's cool. That's cool. There's enough room for everybody to get their wins, to get their money up, to get their ROI up. Just be consistent with what you're trying to do. Don't be intimidated by the trends. Sometimes trends last, sometimes trends don't. And in most cases, trends are just nice covers for things that have been around forever. I mean, video, audio, I mean, it's great, but it's been around forever. I mean, it all comes down to the written word. You need script to make a video. You need script to make an audio. So script is writing. So it's all back to the basis of having a plan, make it a point, get someone's attention up at the beginning, like you learned about in third grade, you know, how to make a paragraph, how to do the whole body thing. It hasn't gone away or anything. We're still using that information. So just stick to your fundamentals and be consistent. Don't be stressing about, I only got 5 likes today. Instead of focus on the negativity, focus on, I got 5 more people to watch my content today than yesterday. Oh, great. 5 people liked it, 1 comment. That's a bigger one than yesterday. 5 people liked it, 2 comments. And guess what? 1 person went to my website. Eventually, it's going to convert to something. So set your standards pretty small and see the growth there. Just start focusing on the big, okay, you're trying to run a 5K, right? No. You're on the block first. And do that 100 times. Now, multiple comes to do that 10,000 times. And keep going. So take small victories. That's the approach to make a really good content. You're not wasting so much time on content that isn't working. If your audience isn't on this or that, then go try something else. So what? Failure is going to happen. You have to accept that. But we fail every day. You mean to tell me maybe I woke up 2 minutes late for work, I'm going to be tripping about that? No. That's trivial. So when you come to content, you only get 5 likes, and today you got 500 likes because something happened in the world and you got viral. Cool. But be objective, but at the same time be smart and be open-minded to try new things. And you can now get on there, like Brian said. Try it out. You might be surprised. You may like, comment, and share. Next thing you know, oh my God, I got new business. But it doesn't hurt. You just sitting there and not even trying to create content. Create content.
I love it. And I love both your guys' points on the network. And Mike, I want to hear yours as well. And Brian and Troy, if you could put your contact information in the comments here as well, let people know where they can find you. But one just thing that I want to leave everyone with too is remember where you're trying to get people to go, and that social media is not where sales are made. Typically, it's on your website. So I would say if you start with content anywhere, start there, and make sure that you have great content on your home base where you're trying to bring people to, right? Like that's your home base, and then go out from there. But don't just go out on the social networks and make copy, and then they go to find you online to buy from you or something, and the website doesn't represent you, I definitely always recommend kind of
Yeah, no, I think, we've talked about it a few. I'm pointing in my phone because there was, some comments on there about audience. And so it's so critical. I mean, where's your audience? And you got to identify that. And then what connects with that audience? And so where are they at? What connects with them? And then again, you always need to have that home base, because these things will change. These things will shift. They will adapt. That some of them will fade. Some of them will try to revamp. And so you need to have that, that consistent home base, which I still think is your website as well. And again, that can be a repository. When we're talking about videos and things like that. I mean, obviously you can embed YouTube video, those types of pieces. So you can create that center of content there. I think the content mix, I liked what I heard about that piece as well. But it's great content. It's resource-rich content. It's content that will be helpful. And ultimately through that, because there's just more people doing research and they're evaluating, and so offering that kind of education and resource allows them to build that know, like, trust relationship. And social is a piece, is a tool in that. Where you spend time should be based on where your audience is at, and how you go about that needs to be kind of related to what's working on that platform. But ultimately, I like, Jessika, what you said, it's got to come back to your home base. And that's where you need to have something that allows them to take a next step to connect with you. Hopefully, that's an email address, a phone number, text mail, text, whatever it is going to be, so that you can follow up that conversation in another way.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys all so much for being with us. Troy, if people want to learn more about you, where do they go?
Find Troy everywhere. That's all.
Find Troy. I like that.
Literally. That's awesome. Brian, what about you?
Just find me anywhere at Now Sourcing. There's tons of Brian Wallace's, so we'll go with that.
Yeah, and on LinkedIn. That's where this guy's hanging out. Follow his content there because he's producing some amazing content there, as well as Troy is on the socials as well. There are a few other comments still in the thread here. If you guys wouldn't mind maybe staying after if we wrap this up, maybe to answer from that point, from your perspective there, I would really, really appreciate it. We want to say thank you for everyone joining in with us today, talking about craveable content that converts. Hope you got a lot out of this. We will be back here next Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Magnet Marketers. And if you want to see more of these amazing guys, definitely check them out, connect with them online, but also join us at sociallima.com, Social Media Week Lima 2019. They will be hitting the stage talking about lots of this kind of stuff on content that converts and the theme craveable. So how to create an irresistible brand. We'd love to have you join us, and join us in June in real life, the best kind of connecting, right? So, all right, guys, thanks so much for joining in again. I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. See you later.
See you, folks.